All right, let's do it live on a Monday edition of Cleveland Browns Daily. I'm Merely Bo. He is the Great Z, and my friend, the business of the NFL is booming, brother. No tomfoolery. We got right to it. We got a lot of stuff going on, including stuff that impacts guys who played here, and I suppose that is where we need to start, because one thing that we have talked about a lot over the last 2 months is the fact that this organization, this defensive staff, desperately wanted Devin Bush to return to be a Cleveland Brown. He will not return to be a Cleveland Brown. By the way, this is, quote, legal tampering. This is not legal. The legal tampering already took place. That's been going on for 2 weeks. Yeah. This is now, hey, we've agreed to a deal, and nothing can become official because of the way that all of this works. But all of these deals widely reported.
Breaking news right now.
Even more.
Former Chargers guard Zion Johnson has reached agreement today on a 3-year, $49.5 million deal, including $32.4 million guaranteed with the Cleveland Browns per his agents Alan Herman and Jared Fox. So while Devin Bush is headed to Chicago, the Browns will get, and Devin Bush on a 3-year, $30 million deal, 21 guaranteed to Chicago. The Browns do address their offensive line. So with Titus Howard and now Zion Johnson, who was one of the names when we went through that list, that was one of the names that we highlighted. The Browns get two guys who can play guard, one who's a tackle. Titus Howard can probably play right tackle. Zion Johnson now replaces either Teller or Bitonio at guard.
And that's how this is going to go today.
Yeah,
there will be stuff that pops throughout the day. The preamble there was about Devin Bush, obviously, as you alluded to, and that's somebody that we obviously desperately wanted back. He will not be back. He signs, as Z just said, there 3 years, $30 million in Chicago, $21 million guaranteed on that, and then as Z just mentioned, this is within the last minute. Zion Johnson comes in at guard. There's been some big ticket items at the top of this, and remember, none of this stuff is going to be official. So this is stuff that is being reported right now, and then the official stuff will come what? When's the new league year start?
Yeah, tomorrow, Wednesday. Wednesday is the new league year. We get like 2 days of this legal tampering, and then the new league year at 4 o'clock on Wednesday. That's big money for Zion Johnson. 16 a year guaranteed for the first 2 years, basically 16.2 a year, even more than that. That's big money for Zion Johnson. By the way, there's been big.
Let's do this before we get into all this stuff. There's something that I think you can take away from the first 6 hours of NFL free agency. Pretty direct thing that I took away from it. If you feel like you're close, you're going. You're going. And there are examples of this in San Francisco. There's an example of this over the weekend in Baltimore. There's been examples of this in Kansas City. Teams that feel like they are a couple players away or a player away are splurging bigly on players to get them a chance at going to win a Super Bowl right now. We saw this last week with the Rams, and that is, to me, kind of the theme of this thing. I do wonder if this is going to lead to, especially juxtaposed to a draft next year that is, I'm not going to use that word, but that feels very, very good and very, very deep and has some sure things in it at the top, certainly at Jeremiah Smith for sure, but then you get into all the quarterbacks and everything else. There's great defensive players in next year's draft. I do wonder if we are headed for an NFL season in 2026 where the middle class is a little bit evaporated, and that instead you are going to have haves who are as all-in as can be, and I gave you a couple examples of them, and we can go through some of the signings reportedly that have already happened with some of these teams that are absolutely haves, and have-nots. And if you are not somebody who feels like you can get into the playoffs, win playoff games, be a Super Bowl contender, I do wonder if you will see pivoting to, hey, it's not the worst thing if we go 3-14 and pick at the top of next year's draft. I think there's going to be some of that happens.
What's wild, though, is a team like the Raiders, who was picking at the top of this year's draft, they're the ones who gave Linderbaum huge money.
But that I get.
They gave Naylor huge money.
I get Linderbaum, though, because they're going to draft Mendoza 1.
Sure.
And they want him to have a good experience. Tom Brady probably said, we have to protect this dude. We have got to give him people to throw the ball to, and we got to put him in a position to succeed. And we can't do that because we can't undo the damage that is done of putting him in a negative situation.
For sure.
And so I'm sure that's Brady's influence. Like, we are going to put you in a position to succeed offensively. And they got some more weaponry with the Max Crosby deal over the weekend. And so that gives you an opportunity to give him weapons to throw to and put him in a position to succeed. So that one I get. There's a couple others
tough
in
division,
here that are,
though. That is a tough division.
It is, but all that matters is him being brought along correctly, if you're them.
Sure.
Like, they're not trying to win next year. They just want to take care of Mendoza over the next 3 to 5. So hopefully for them, he turns into Not what some of these guys who were released today, or one of them at least, who was released today. We have reportedly placed the second-round tender on restricted free agent Ronnie Hickman. So this is a one-year deal worth $5 million. Hickman
Which
will be
means
able
we'll-
to receive offers from any other team, and then we'd have the right to match.
Which means Ronnie Hickman will be a Cleveland Brown.
Yep.
Nobody's giving up a second-round pick for Rocket Hickman. So you keep him, you lose Devin Bush. And so to me, now you look at the defense, you have a big hole at will linebacker, and there are plenty of options that we talked about when we went through those sheets the other day on the defensive side of the ball in terms of players that the Browns might potentially be interested in at the linebacker position. But that's a big loss. Leo Chenal of the Kansas City Chiefs would be a name. Nakobe Dean, who obviously Todd Monken would have great familiarity with, of the Eagles, coming back off of that knee surgery. Perhaps you get him at a little bit of a discount. Would be an interesting. Those would be a couple names that are out there at linebacker. But back to Zion Johnson, first round pick. We know that AB likes those guys that were former first round picks. He has only missed 2 games in his career, so he's been very much he's been very healthy. Mm-hmm. He can play. Last 3 years, he's played left guard. Rookie year, he played right guard, and is out of Boston College, 17th overall pick in the 2022 draft. And so now with him and Titus Howard, you've made some moves there. Like I said, left guard the last 3 seasons, and you wonder if we haven't heard anything official on Joel Bitonio, but you wonder if this is something that you can read between the lines about relative to Joel Bitonio.
I guess I've only ever thought of Joel as a Brown or nothing, but he is a free agent.
He is.
So theoretically, if he wants to go play somewhere, and by the way, if you wanted, there's another guy we're going to get to in a second who did one of these. Sometimes you want to chase Super Bowls and go live.
Follow Mike Evans.
Yeah. Speaking of, that's the big one I was referring to. Mike Evans to
Pedro,
the 49ers.
Pleased.
I bet he is pleased.
Quite pleased.
This happening within the last hour. Mike Evans signs with the 49ers, 3 years, $60.4 million. So this was what I was alluding to in terms of, hey, we're close. Go. Right now. Let's go. So they did it. The Ravens did it over the weekends. The Rams did it a week ago, and they make their deal. And then Mike Evans to the Niners. So
I like the Mike Evans one. I think that's great for the Niners. Great. That is just something that they have not had. That big guy, you're going to have him and Pearsall now, Kittle, McCaffrey. I like that for the Niners. I think that's a great move. It's a big exodus for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Well, I think that maybe told you. Look, I'm sure the Tampa Bay wanted nothing more than to have him back, play his entire career in Tampa. But the reality is, and he even, there's some of the reporting on this, like he wanted to go chase a Super Bowl.
Yep.
And he didn't view that operation as a Super Bowl contender. And that's kind of the product of being in that division, right? A little bit like you get a little false hope that maybe you're better than you are. And this would be condemning that in a big way, because he could have stayed and finished his career there, but instead thought he'd go chase a Super Bowl with San Francisco. And that NFC West, the Super Bowl champion, the Niners with Mike Evans, the Rams, what they've already done in free agency, and they have a first-round pick as well that's in the top 15. Holy smokes, man.
Yeah. By the way, the Bucs, I think, made a big mistake a year ago when they gave Chris Godwin 3 years, $66 million. You would have won. I don't know what that was, but it sounded very nice in my ear.
Did you say that's not good, Kippe?
That's not us.
Okay, I didn't think so.
Good.
It was a nice sound, though. It was very nice.
Usually is.
But the Bucs gave 3 years, $66 million, 44 guaranteed, guaranteeing his 25 and 26 salaries. Mm-hmm. That was before last year. That was coming off of a major injury. He played 9 games at 300 yards receiving last year, did Godwin. Mm-hmm. So they paid him more than Mike Evans just got.
Yeah.
I think that was a mistake. I think they would rather have Mike Evans and Emeka Buka than Godwin and Emeka Buka.
Also could be a thing where maybe they thought that their situation, specifically a quarterback, was better than Mike Evans thinks it is.
It's possible, but I just think you gave a guy coming off of a major injury, and I realize maybe you're just being like, yeah, thank you so much for all you've done for us, but that to me, that did not seem like a great idea at the time, and it looks like to me even a worse idea, because you're paying a guy that clearly is not what he once was, and as a result, the most decorated receiver in your franchise's history is going and probably a Hall of Famer. I think he should be.
Yeah.
Is not going to play.
He has
for
the
your
record, right? Most consecutive 1,000-yard seasons to start an NFL career at receiver.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So
You
this was the year it ended.
You are correct.
You are correct, sir.
Yeah,
so there you go.
Correct,
Speaking of those teams that are continuing to load up, another one is the Kansas City Chiefs. Kenneth Walker is going to be a Kansas City Chief. So you have that happening today as well. Alec Pierce re-signs with the Colts. This number is nuts. This number is nuts. I don't know what the guarantee is on this.
It's a huge number.
Reportedly 4 for 116.
Listen, he's led the league in yards per catch 2 years in a row. He's big. We loved him coming out. If you remember, go back to those shows.
No, I remember, but that is a
Alec Pierce
massive
fans.
number. I'm just curious what his. Okay, all right. This is what I thought. Yeah. So last year he was a 1,000-yard receiver last year, and the yards per catch is real: 22.3, 21.3.
Yes.
But that's a type of number that typically you would associate with 100 catches, 1,200 yards, like that type of thing.
Yeah. He didn't even have
it's a
50
big number.
catches.
No, 47, in fact, buddy. Yeah.
Right.
So that's a lot to give on that. I don't know what the guarantee is on that. It seems like there's a lot of money to spend.
Well,
That's what it seems like
the
to
cap
me.
keeps going up and up.
Yeah.
And so that helps. And, you're seeing some pretty big things. I don't think the Browns are going to be done on the offensive line. I do think the Browns are going to be looking. I think you're going to find a tight end. That could also come in the draft. But now a will linebacker I think becomes very important. Slot corner is something you're looking at. For wide receiver, you should definitely be looking at. But it feels to me like their whole goal right now is to shore up this offensive line. Because so far we've made 2 moves. We've had 2 additions, both on the offensive line.
Yeah.
No, I mean, Titus Howard could be your right tackle.
Yeah.
So no left tackle yet. Now, a lot of people like, the guys that are at the top of this draft as guards. Monroe Freeling would be the one who's truly a tackle. The center market, that was the one we had talked a lot about, the centers, and I'm going to go through them just really, really quickly here, but I'm pretty sure. So Linderbaum is gone, right? Linderbaum's gone. Alec Pierce gone. On the center market, Biotish signed somewhere. Likely I had as a potential target. Isaac Siamalo, he's still out there. Zion Johnson, we signed. He was number 29 on Matt Bowen's top. With the G's.
Holy cow.
Would you just stop it? I mean, please. The Aviators? I mean, it is a sunny day.
71.
It's a sunny day. It's a sunny day.
Holy smokes.
Oh, man.
That's how you set a tone on a Monday.
Yeah, that's how you set a tone, indeed.
Oh, my God.
Connor
of open tampering. My God.
Connor McGovern signed somewhere. Didn't he stay? Did he stay with the Bills, young Gabriel?
I mean, there's been so much that's happened today.
Who? Which one? There's a list on page 2 and page 1.
Connor McGovern.
I don't know if we've seen that one come.
I think it happened before. I could be wrong, but I thought it happened even before. Cade Mays is signed. That's a center you can cross off the list. Jalen Naylor was a receiver we talked about. He's signed. You cross him off the list. Vera Tucker is still out there as another guard. Chris Paul is a name that the Browns had been linked to that we had highlighted here. And if you sign Chris Paul, that means that Bitonio is not coming back. And it means that Howard will be a tackle for you.
Connor McGovern got a 4-year, $52 million deal to re-sign with the Bills over the weekend. That happened.
Yep, and Tyler Biotish is signed with the Chargers, and he's a center. So there's really not – the centers really aren't out there. There really aren't a lot of centers out there. So if the Browns are making another move, to me it's either a tackle or it's a guard, which will be interesting to see how that ends up going forward. Yeah, this is a little bit of a bittersweet day. I really think losing Devin Bush is a big loss for the Browns. Now you're going to have to replace him either in free agency or the draft, but you're already young in that room. You're pretty inexperienced in that room now. Beyond, like Carson Schlesinger is the most experienced guy in your linebacker room, and Mahmoud Diabate, right?
I think Schlesinger. You could put a C on Schlesinger, I feel like.
Of course.
Some people are just natural that.
He is. He's going to be the captain, but now you're talking about Mahmoud Diabate, Eason Mascarenas-Arnold, Winston Reed, and Buki Watson. None of those guys have started even half a season.
Yeah.
Diabate's the only one who started really at all, and he's more of a Sam. He is not a nickel will. And so this is not great. Not great on that one. Zion Johnson, certainly an interesting prospect, should be entering his prime years here. former first-round pick, so obviously a very, very talented guy. But this is Devin Bush. That's a big loss. I was hoping that was one that was going to be wrapped up, and there was a lot of talk, that was going to be the case, that the Browns were going to be able to get that one done, get that taken care of. And unfortunately, that did not come to fruition, and he was able to go out there. $10 million a year. That's not even a huge price tag if we're being –
No, we thought it would be right around there. I mean,
right.
I don't know if you were trying to be in the 8-9 range or something like that, but 10 was something well within what we thought would be possible.
Totally.
So, that one is very disappointing. This has been a crazy day, and we'll keep you updated on anything that happens here over the course of the next 2 hours, of course. So some massive moves today. I mentioned the Mike Evans one. We mentioned the Alec Pierce one. Mentioned Tyler Linderbaum. He gets 3 years, $81 for the Raiders.
What's crazy about that is he is now the highest paid center in the league history.
Yeah.
That's $27 million a year. Do you know what the number 2 center is average per year? It's Creed Humphrey of the Chiefs.
I'm going to say 16.
I think it's 18. So he's 150%.
Yeah. So don't you think this is just a direct reaction of teams for the emphasis that defenses have put on the interior of the defensive line? And then because of
think
that,
it's that,
and then the scarcity. There just aren't enough good ones.
He's really good, and he was the consensus best and had multiple suitors. And it's like anything. If you have a lot of people, I was emceeing the Cornerstone of Hope Gala when you had some of those items that 3 people were in the live auction.
Yeah.
Those went, or 4 people. Those went a lot higher.
Yeah,
because people get into the competitive nature of it and starts bidding stuff up. But yeah, that's Linderbaum. That's a big. It's big. That is big money there. And the Ravens are not happy to have lost him.
Well, no, because now, you can do the move they made, and we can get to this in a second with Max Crosby over the weekend, but now you've lost the best player on your offensive front, and now you have to replace a center, which is going to be very, very difficult for them because there just aren't guys like that out in the market. The biggest move of the morning happened with the Dolphins cutting Tua Tagovailoa, post-June designation, spreading out $99 million in dead cap over the next 2 years. So this is the Broncos model with Russell Wilson that we've talked about. The Arizona Cardinals did it last week with Kyler Murray, and now you get the Dolphins doing that today with Tua Tagovailoa. The corresponding move was Malik Willis signing with the Dolphins 3 years, $67.5. That's a lot less than I thought when we were over in Indy.
Same, and then it makes me wonder what's Arizona doing. Why wasn't Arizona in on that?
Or maybe the people who talk about this lead had an inflated view of what Malik Willis, how he was viewed by the league.
Yeah, because coming out of the combine, it was 30.
Yeah, it was 3 for 90
Yep.
or 3 for 100 is what everybody thought at the combine. This is 30% less than that.
Yep, 30% less than that. So it's a surprise. It also makes, again, why wasn't Arizona in on that? A couple of others that have just happened. John Franklin Myers going to the Titans for 3 years, $63 million, $42 guaranteed. My goodness, what a time to be a football player right now. Then we got
I didn't even know who that is, and you just said he got $42 million guaranteed.
Big defensive tackle. Defensive tackle.
Well, there it is. There's an arms race that's happening in the middle of the offense and defensive line.
Charlie Kohler, who I thought might be in play for the Cleveland Browns, former Ravens tight end, signing a 3-year, $24.3 million deal, including $17 million guaranteed. The first time Schefter tweeted this out, he didn't say who they were signing with for the Chargers. So he will be the blocking complement to Gadsden there, which is interesting. Zion Johnson last year struggled a little bit in pass pro, but was one of the best run blocking tackles in the NFL. Had the second best run block win rate amongst guards.
On the Dolphins front, I do wonder if the Tua release / obviously that was orchestrated to do this release and then get the signing obviously at the very next moment. But I wonder if Malik Willis's market wasn't as robust as everybody believed at the combine because maybe those spots are going to be gobbled up by Tua and Kyler Murray, who you can get for 8 cents on the dollar, both of them.
Yep.
And I do wonder if one of those does Tua.
They're going to sign for the league minimum.
I know. Does Tua end up in Arizona for the league minimum? Does he end up in Atlanta with Kev? Does Kyler now end up in Minnesota? All of those dominoes are going to be fascinating.
Yes, they are. What is Tua? Already, the Falcons have been reportedly hot in pursuit of Tua.
Yeah, we said that last week. Yep. It made all the sense in the world.
Makes all the sense in the world.
They'll have him compete.
Yeah.
With Penix.
I think if you bring him in there, he's starting. That would be my guess.
Boy, I think they would do it as a competition from the standpoint of Penix was a first-round pick 2 years ago by you. I know different regime, all of it, but to me, that I would feel like they would do that as a competition, but I could be wrong.
Yep.
I could be wrong. I bet they do it the way the Steelers did it with Russell Wilson and Fields and all that.
Yep.
Like, have them compete. And then it feels like Kyler to the Vikings to me.
Yep.
So end of an era there because that was tank for Tua. That was all of that, and now he's gone. And so Malik Willis goes there. We were right on that, by the way. So Mac Jones potentially.
Mac Jones,
could be
I
a
think
landing
somebody,
spot for Arizona.
Absolutely. By the way, another linebacker to write down real quickly. Jeremy Fowler linking linebacker Caden Ellis to the Browns here. Spent the past 3 seasons in Atlanta. Overlapped with Mike Rutenberg as well. Could be a possible replacement for Devin Bush. And I'm going to pull up his numbers real quickly here. Caden Ellis. Yeah, it's fun how much is going on here. Teams, you typically don't win things in the offseason or certainly at day one of free agency. Now, you would say to yourself that the Seahawks probably felt like they did because the Seahawks did a tremendous job getting Sam Darnold and now are the Super Bowl champions.
Yeah.
By the way, this new thing with Pro Football Reference needing to verify that I'm a human is outrageous to me. Like, how many bots are spending their time to go to Pro Football Reference?
It adds another 5 seconds to every search from them. So I've been just going to ESPN because I know it doesn't have quite the data, but at least it's quicker.
Caden Ellis, 3 straight years of 100-plus tackles, averaging 10 tackles for a loss over the last 3 years. During that span, he's also racked up 12.5 sacks, 273, 380 tackles, 12.5 sacks, 12 passes defense, 2 picks, couple of forced fumbles. Okay. Those are pretty good numbers in Atlanta. He's been a machine, and he's from Idaho, went to Idaho, 6'2", 240. Definitely could be a will linebacker, obviously a big football family. Christian Ellis, son of Luther Ellis, former NFL player as well. A lot of players in that family. So that could be somebody that the Browns look to as a possible replacement there for Devin Bush. He's been an Iron Man, played on defense last few years, 95, 98, and 100% of the snaps. So that's somebody that obviously I think Mike Rutenberg would have a great affection for. And that would make a lot of sense. You'd replace a 100-tackle guy with a 100-tackle guy who's a pretty good pass rusher, blitzer, and can cover. And if that happens.
As we continue to monitor everything that's happening in real time over the weekend, the blockbuster happened. It happened, of course, because of course it would. In our division, the Ravens acquiring edge Max Crosby. The Raiders acquire first-round picks, 14th overall in 2026 and a 2027 first as well. Is this the first time DeCosta's ever traded a 1 with the Ravens? Have they ever traded a 1 and he gave up 2?
G-Man says yes.
Oh, I trust G-Man. I'm sure he's properly sourced. Off the top of my head, that's the first thing I thought of when I saw this happen over the weekend. That's just not something they do. They always draft their guys. Maybe I'm wrong, but in my head, I'm just thinking I don't remember them ever trading a 1 to acquire a player. I've seen them do free agency before. They've done that a lot. Oftentimes, it's a place guys want to play at the end of their career.
According to ESPN, it marks the first time in the Ravens' 31-year history that they've traded a first-round pick for a player.
Okay. A decent read on that then.
They may have moved up and around the first round.
But in terms of you can have R1, and by the way, they gave up their next 2 for Crosby.
Yep.
Now, how much does that get kneecapped by the Linderbaum news today? A little.
Definitely some.
Take some of the shine off of it for sure. Obviously, they're all in as can be with Crosby, but now they can't replace Linderbaum with the first-round pick, certainly. No. So they're going to have to do that free agency or via – you don't future plan for losing Linderbaum.
No,
you assume he's a Raven for the rest of his career.
They had to know it was coming.
Yeah, but your plan B ain't that. So that's a hit. But the Crosby addition is massive. I don't know what's real and what's not, but I did listen to a oh my gosh, Jamar Chase. Did you hear his stuff?
No.
No.
I mean, it sounded like him. I don't know what's real or what's AI anymore, but it sounded like him. But the idea for the rest of us in the division, like, really?
Oh, we need that. Joe Burrow. You got Max Crosby twice, T.J. Watt twice, and Myles Garrett twice. Yeah, that's no fun.
That's no fun at all.
I mean, the Ravens have lost 5 players in the first 3 hours. Linderbaum, Isaiah Likely, Draymond Jones, their punter Jordan Stout, and now tight end Charlie Kohler.
Yeah. Linderbaum's the one. That's the one that stinks because now And I do think that's what this all is. And there aren't enough there aren't enough offensive linemen, period.
Yep.
Like, that's a problem all the way down to youth sports. Like, you're not developing enough of them. Kids don't want to do it. They haven't made it as cool as they need to. There aren't enough of them. I see this in the college game. Like, they're overpaying 5-star offensive line recruit. They're overpaying him in the portal because there aren't enough of them. And I think you're seeing it now play out at the very highest level of the sport. So some of these offensive line money that's being thrown out in the middle of interior of the defensive line are astronomical figures.
Yep.
Do you want to hear from Jamar Chase? Do you want to hear that?
Is it real? Be careful.
Kevin, is that real?
I couldn't tell if
they played it on RBS this morning, coming from like a live stream while he was playing a video game.
So that's what I saw too. There is, I'm guessing, since you played it on RBS, that it's been properly beeped.
Yes, it has been properly beeped.
Okay. I couldn't tell. I mean, he's playing someone's playing a video game who claims to be Jamar Chase, but I don't know what's real or not. I'll leave it up to you. You're the head honcho, boss.
Well, it's bleeped.
Okay.
Sure, why not? Reckless speculation.
Okay. It's possible
Where we
that
going?
this is Jamar Chase reacting to it's possible, very possible. Go ahead.
Joe just texted me. Ravens traded for Max Crosby. No, 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 brother. I'm highly pissed right now. Oh my god. Oh my god. How the do we let this go to the division, bro? Oh my god, bro.
So
he's not happy.
It's a reasonable
no, you don't
threat,
say.
By the way, the Ravens fans should not be happy either. Think about this. The Ravens declined Tyler Linderbaum's fifth-year option. They didn't use the franchise tag because they thought it was out of line for the center market at $25.8 million. Linderbaum just got $27 million per year.
Yeah,
They could have had him.
They could have had him. He called their bluff and he won.
Bigly.
Yeah, no state tax in Nevada too, so that'll help.
By the way, can anybody, young Gabriel in there, can you tell me what the heck is going on with Donna Kelsey's renovation? Why is that everywhere all over my Twitter feed right now? I'm trying to get some
have
NFL
no
news.
idea.
It tells me that your algorithm says that you need Donna Kelsey. That maybe when you're at home, you're spending a lot of time.
She was
with
on
the Kelsey
Traders.
family. See, I haven't
She
seen
was
any of
on
that.
Traders, but she was
It's
not.
new to all of me.
Unfortunately, she was not a good trader.
I can tell you in the division, the
ahead.
Bengals are signing former Chief safety Brian Cook, 3 years, 40.5 from Tom Pelissaro on that.
Yeah, they only need 10 more defensive players, and then they'll be respectable.
You almost have to have like the R lads list up to just, you know how G-Man's got that thing in
Cross
there
them off.
of
Yep.
you know, our depth chart and our roster, like what it looks like. It's hard to keep track of who's been signed and who hasn't.
Yes.
But the Bengals getting some help on the back end of their defense there. So here's what we are going to do. We're going to take a quick reset, and we'll get you updated on all of this stuff. Again, this stuff happening very fast, very furious. The big news for us of the last 30 minutes, of course, the news that Devin Bush has reportedly agreed to terms. Do I have to say reportedly on all of this? I mean, every NFL source is writing this. Can't we just say
Correct.
he's signing?
But
Okay.
until Wednesday at 4 o'clock.
Okay. But Devin Bush is signing with the Bears,
Yes.
3 years, $30 million, $21 million of it guaranteed. And then we have gone ahead and added some offensive line help in a big, big way. What's this gentleman's name? Zion Grady? Is that what you said?
Who are linemen?
No, who did we just sign?
Zion Johnson.
Zion Johnson. I don't know how I get Zion. We had so much happening here in the first half hour. Who's Zion Grady? Did he play at Georgia or something?
I don't know.
Name something. Zion Johnson, 3 years, 49.5 for the interior of the offensive line. A lot of names, a lot of moves. It's all happening fast and furious. NFL legal tampering? No, signings. Signings are happening. That's what today is. Those are your hot topics today, presented by University Hospitals, official healthcare partner of your Cleveland Browns. A lot happening around the league. Keep it locked here. We're off and running. Cleveland Browns Daily. We're presented by Bally Bet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Please bet responsibly. Add more fun to your Phantom of the Bally Bet Sportsbook app. Download today. Get 50 back in bonus bets. You place your first wager of 10 or more. Bally Bet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. A couple of big signings today as we are concerned. Out the door goes Devin Bush, 3 years, $30 million with the Bears. That's a tough one. We know how much he meant to the organization. We know the organization really wanted to keep him. We know what he meant to Tarv and to the defense and all of it. So he will go to the Bears at 3 years, $30 million. Coming in is Zion Johnson, 3 years, $49.5, $32.4 guaranteed on that deal. Zion Johnson, former first-round pick of the Los Angeles Chargers. Younger player, obviously. Pretty good money on that, $32.4 for him guaranteed, $349.5 on the total value of that deal. He is an interior offensive lineman, as he said, if you're just joining us in the first segment, spent the last 3 years at left guard. I don't know if you can read into that or not, but he has vacillated between left and right.
Yeah, and he's been reliable in the sense of his availability. He's only missed 2 games in 4 seasons, over 1,000 snaps all 4 of his seasons in the NFL. That is a lot of money, though. To me, that is a bet, and the Browns have done this in the past, a bet that you believe his best football is ahead of him, because he has not played to a level thus far that would warrant that contract. So you believe that he is going to be better than what you have seen there. Because, listen, let's be honest about it. One of the knocks on the Chargers was their offensive line. Once
Right.
Rashawn Slater went down, and Joe Alt, it was, oh, man, it's tough there. So, and that was one of the knocks also on the Houston Texans. So the Browns obviously feel like they have identified things in their offensive scheme, and that with George Warhop, who obviously signed off on Howard since he had coached him in 2022, I believe it was, in Houston, that they're going to get better play out of these guys, specifically with Zion Johnson, because that's a lot of money. I want to, before I speak out of turn, that's a lot of money for a guard, $16 million. And, when I think about the guards that we had, who Joel Bitonio is, 7-time Pro Bowler.
Yep.
Joel Bitonio's biggest, trying to look at cash breakdown of his career. Some of these career earnings, blah, 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 blah. Like, I don't know that Joel Bitonio ever made this much in one season. His biggest year was 1 year. His last year was 1 year, $15 million. So I don't know that he's ever made that much. I don't know that, certainly I don't think Wyatt ever did either. And those are guys who are, and obviously, look, the inflation, the cap going up, it means it's very different. Don't get me wrong. But, when you think about, we've come to have great guard play in our career, here with the Browns, certainly since 2014, whether it started with Bitonio and Greco, that's a big number. Like that's an attention-getting number, and so obviously there's a big feeling that this is somebody who is going to ascend. I think going forward, that's at least what you have to think. Yeah, Joel Bitonio's 15 is the biggest that he had ever gotten in a 1 year, 15 or 16 in the last 2 years in terms of cash paid out. So that's a big one.
That is. That's good money there. And there's been a lot of good money spent. In fact, over $1 billion in free agency already been spent around the league. And this is day one of all of this. Most of the big fish have been signed. There will be some others obviously still out there that'll be big. But a lot of the big ones have been signed. I'm going to run through. You just stop me when you have something that is either shocking or noteworthy. A lot of these are noteworthy, but let's just start in Kansas City. Kenneth Walker ends up the Super Bowl MVP, signing with the Chiefs, 3 years, $45 million on that. Travis Kelce, by the way, speaking of your buddy Donna Kelce, her son Travis is going to play 1 more year in Kansas City. He is going to come back and play in Kansas City. Go ahead.
Real quick on the Kenneth Walker, $15 million, just shows that's why you don't take a running back necessarily in the first round. You can get the Super Bowl MVP who's quite good for $15 million a year.
Yes.
Devin Bush, who just had a great season, $10 million a year. So an off-ball linebacker like Sonny South, somebody's going to do it.
Yep.
Somebody is going to do it. But that's a lot of money to pay for that position.
Well, you mentioned Nakobe Dean, and when you were talking about possible, that would be the level of, I can't remember where Nakobe was drafted, but
yep.
That's kind of what and Devin Bush, by the way, was drafted that way out of Michigan. He was a top 15 pick for the Steelers. So that's kind of the way that goes. Speaking of Browns, this just happening. Former Browns defensive end Cam Thomas reached an agreement today with the Falcons, 1 year's $3.1. So that's Kevin.
And that was somebody that the Browns wanted to keep. I know that. So They were not able to do that. It's interesting, and some of these cases, I feel like the Browns, since they didn't re-sign anybody, that they are, they're letting guys get to the market, and then unfortunately, those guys are taking that and they're going.
So off the defense, Cam Thomas, obviously, in the
Who's your fourth defensive end?
Fourth the end, rotational defensive end, and then you're starting off-ball linebacker in Devin Bush.
Yes, you've got a hole. You've got a hole there. Right now, in terms of what I would call like our starting, 13 on defense, you have a hole at will linebacker. You've got, Miles Harden, I guess, is penciled in as your slot corner, and then your third safety is definitely a hole right now. So there are things that you need to do on that side.
Some other news happening today. The Saints and running back Travis Etienne, 4 years, 52.
What?
The Saints and Travis Etienne, 4 years, 52.
So they had been mocked Jeremiah Love quite a bit. That means that they feel in their intelligence either, number one, that they are not either they're not drafting Jeremiah Love, clearly they're not drafting Jeremiah Love, or that they got intel that Jeremiah Love is going to be gone well before they have an opportunity.
Also wonder if that means the end of Alvin Kamara, right, with the Saints?
Yeah, I don't know.
Etienne's younger, not as good when Kamara was at his prime, obviously, but he's in
for sure.
They're very similar,
for sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah, no, that's a surprising one to me.
Yeah,
that is a big contract. So he's going to get to be the guy. That means that correct me if I'm wrong, but that means that the Jags are going to be going with Basil Tootin.
Is he the only other one there?
Because didn't they trade the guy
we liked?
The guy who was their backup.
Why don't you just give him
Tank Bigsby? They traded him to the Eagles last year.
Yeah. You almost need,
so they could,
Jaguars are lads to give you an idea of who's left in that room.
So last year,
Etienne was a stud last year.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. The Jags rushers last year was Etienne at 1,007, and then, Basil Tootin, who they drafted last season, averaged 3.7 yards a carry. He was their fourth-round pick. That makes me think that they're either going to make a run at somebody else in free agency. Yeah, they traded Tank Bigsby, who was a third-round pick a year before that, to the Eagles. That's a surprise. So that's a hole there. So that's a team that could be looking at a running back, and I've talked to some people who are pretty plugged in at Notre Dame, and yes, they all have glowing things to say about Jeremiah Love, but the second running back there, what's his name? Price?
Yeah, Price. Yeah, at Notre Dame?
Yeah, that they're like, it's really not that big of a difference, and whoever drafts Price is going to be very happy.
They're both studs.
Yeah.
For sure. Big one here, Jalen Phillips, edge, signs with the Panthers, 4-year, 120.
That is monstrous.
It's a massive number for him. Here's a guy that we talked about a little bit in terms of the tight end position, Isaiah Likely with the Giants, 3 years, 47 on the deal for that. Wan'Dale Robinson, we talked about that. I think that this was coming, but we talked about him last week. This number is crazy. 478. 4 for 78 for Wan'Dale Robinson.
That's insane. And this goes back to, Okay, you got Alec Pierce, right? You said what?
120 something.
116. So that's $29 million.
Mm-hmm.
Wan'Dale Robinson, you just said what?
478.
So basically $20 million.
Yeah.
So 19 and a half. Look at is Jalen Naylor on your list there?
Jalen Naylor is not on my list here.
Jalen Naylor, I'm pretty sure got 3 for like 36 from the Raiders. Jalen Naylor, 3 years, 35, 23 guaranteed from the Raiders. So put that in perspective, okay? If you love Carnell Tate at 6, you're getting a player that in an open market, if he is what you believe he is,
you believe he's a
we're talking that's a $30 million a year player.
Yes.
Now tackles are there too. Get it, 100%. But that feels to me like all the more reason to go ahead and make sure that you get Carnell Tate right there. I just think it's
a good point out of you in terms of the value.
The value of it.
Yeah.
The value of it.
Wide receiver Jahan Dotson, 2 years, 15 with the Falcons. Laramie Tunsil re-signs with the Commies, 2 years at $60. Draymond Jones, speaking of the Ravens, signs for the Patriots, 3 for $39. Demario Davis, the linebacker, Jets, 2 for $22. Linebacker Cole Holcomb, 2 for $5 with the Steelers. Jamal Dean, 3 for $36 with the Steelers. The cornerback Trent McDuffie, 4 years, $124. That's in correspondence of them acquiring him. 4 for $124 with the Rams. Jalen Watson, 3 for $51, the corner. So they got both of those done, as did the LA Rams. Asante Samuel Jr. re-signs with the Steelers, 1 for $4. Eric Stokes re-signs with the Raiders, 3 for $30. And Kobe Bryant signs with the Bears, 3 for $40. There is also some trades that have happened here. We have the Colts trading wide receiver Michael Pittman Jr. to the Steelers in exchange for a late-round pick swap. Pittman then signs a 3-year, $59 million deal with the Steelers.
So
they
he's
will go
the 20.
DK, and they will have Pittman. Yeah, there's your 3 years, 20. That's your $20 million a year for Pittman is the reality of that. Signals to me that the Steelers believe Aaron Rodgers is coming back.
It also signals to me that they have a type that maybe, or Aaron Rodgers has a type that he likes to throw to, which is big dudes who don't really you separate, and we're just going to throw like back shoulders.
Just throw back shoulders all day.
Yes, I heard that from a very plugged-in source about that. But Pittman's a guy, last 2 years, I mean, he hasn't averaged 12 yards a catch since 2021. 2 years been under 10 yards a catch. He's a good player. He's a good role player, but that's not an exciting signing. But I think it helps them. It's tough. He's a good run blocker in the run game.
It's good pedigree, though.
Yeah.
It's former first-round pick, and it's a guy that you get a late-round pick, and then you give him 20 a year, and you pair him with Metcalf, and now you got two massive targets on the outside. You can use the tight ends underneath with Freiermuth and all that, and then who knows what they do in the slot. But
you need a speedster.
They do, but it tells me that Rodgers is.
Let me tell you something, and I'm not trying to be Steelers GM, but all of a sudden if they go and sign Tyquan Thornton, and then you have him as and you'll put Pittman in as a big slot, DK on one side, Thornton on the other, I don't want any part of that. I'd like Tyquan Thornton to come to us, to be quite frankly. That's somebody that I've had my eye on for a while because of his ability to create separation and his ability to get down the field. He is somebody that defenses would have to pay attention to.
Speaking of the Steelers, former Steelers and Dolphin safety Minkah Fitzpatrick to the Jets in exchange for a 7th-round pick, then a 3-year, $40 million with Minkah Fitzpatrick.
What are the Jets doing?
Looks to me like Aaron Glenn just wants somebody who can speak his language on the back end of their defense.
They signed who else? They've made a couple of veteran.
I don't understand
guys.
what they're doing.
That's what I mean.
Idea. You feel like you would make sure. That goes back to what I said in the first segment. They are absolutely a team that ought to just push the chips in, and we'll see at the 2027 draft.
Yep.
Why would you not do? They have 5 picks in the next 2 drafts. Make sure one of them in 2027 is number 1 overall.
Absolutely.
You have to make sure that
but
that's the
why.
case.
Aaron Glenn, I think you've got Aaron Glenn, it feels like Aaron Glenn is a guy that he's trying to save his job, right?
Yeah.
How many more he can't have another bad year. They're picking first next year. Aaron Glenn's gone.
Yes.
So
yes.
Aaron Glenn's goals are at odds with what the Jets' goals probably should be.
Yes. Yes.
So that's so it feels like he's got more influence than you might have thought, though, because these moves that you're talking about right here, these are very
these feel like moves he asked for.
Yes. These feel like the coach is having significant input on said moves.
The Cowboys and Packers continue to do work. They trade edge Rashawn Gary to the Cowboys in exchange for a 2027 4th-round pick. If you're just joining us,
Rashawn Gary to the Cowboys?
To the Cowboys, yeah.
And they just have him thrown in the Micah trade.
I don't know. Yeah, a 2027 4th. So there you go. There is a lot going on. The Bengals in the division, Brian Cook signing with the Bengals, the safety from Kansas City. So they use that to bolster the back end of their defense. So and by the way, this stuff just keeps going. There's going to be stuff all day long. It's so funny. I don't remember it like this last year. Am I misremembering?
No, first day usually the first 90 minutes or 2 hours were a little crazy, and then it started to slow down. There's been no slowdown.
None.
No,
there really hasn't. Can the actions of what happened today with all of this, can it tell you anything about how some of these teams view themselves?
Yeah, it's just I wish it's almost like we need a second screen in here. This has been you're right. It's more than ever where we have
Right.
like,
I mean, I can
every
hardly keep
signing
up with
by
all of
team.
this.
I can't keep. I have no concept of what's happened in a big picture and a macro level for teams other than ours. But like for example, so things that you're thinking about: Giants signing Tremaine Edmonds to be their Mike linebacker. That probably means they're not drafting Sonny Styles at 5.
Yeah.
So that's kind of so. What could they draft 5? They could draft Carnell Tate,
Yes, they could.
which would be really annoying,
Yes, it would be. Yeah.
and I'm not for that.
No.
Could they draft Jeremiah Love?
That
Possibly.
I would be more a fan of that.
Sure.
Yeah.
You've seen the Titans bring in all ex-Sala and Daboll guys.
Yep.
I think they're wide open. The Arizona Cardinals signed. Who did they sign? They signed a running back
Is there like what you need is like a true free agent tracker
by team. Yeah.
so that I can search it by team by. All right, I'm going to see.
There's
ESPN
gotta
is
be
usually
one.
pretty good about this stuff.
there's gotta
Let me
be
see if they
many
can do
of them.
something like that. No, this isn't what I'm looking for.
It's weird because ESPN's original tracker was just like a river. So if it's there 1 minute and then it's just gone, you got to scroll to find everything.
Yeah, you need to be able to do it by
Team.
By team.
The NFL's not going to do it because
All right,
it's all
NFL's got
reportedly.
it.
Do
Okay,
they
here
have
we
it?
go. Yep. All right. So.
Oh, that's a man walking with purpose.
Little
Little button up, button down, however you want it. Good to see you. You too. Great business. Outstanding.
All right. Ravens have signed Tyler Huntley. They've signed offensive lineman John Simpson, and they got Max Crosby. Bengals re-signed Dalton Risner, re-signed Jalen Davis. They've signed Brian Cook that you reported for the Browns, Titus Howard, and Zion Johnson. Steelers, Pittman. They re-signed Cole Holcomb. They brought in corner Jamel Dean, and they re-signed Asante Samuel Jr. Houston has been very active. Traded for David Montgomery. Kept Dalton Schultz, re-signed Trent Brown, re-signed Ed Ingram, re-signed Naquan Jones, re-signed Sheldon Rankins, re-signed Daniil Hunter, re-signed E.J. Speed. So keeping a lot of their own there.
Did you do Pittsburgh in our division? I know you did Baltimore. Okay. Yeah. So
Pittsburgh is Pittman in a trade, re-signed Cole Holcomb, signed corner Jamel Dean, 3 years, $36.75 million, and then re-signed Asante Samuel. The team, like the Titans.
all right, let's do this. Your
Yeah.
Titans pick number 1.
Okay. Yeah, we go pick by pick.
Do pick
like
by
that.
picking ahead of us. So Titans pick 1.
Pick 2.
Pick 2.
Yep.
Number 1 with the Raiders, and we know what they've done because they're taking Mendoza. So I guess that's sometimes why I forget about it.
So they have
the Titans are going nuts.
Signed Trubisky to be the backup. Signed Wan'Dale Robinson, wide receiver, 4 years, $78 million. Got Jermaine Johnson in the trade with the Jets. Signed Jonathan Franklin Myers, 3 years, $63 million. Signed cornerback Cordell Flott, 3 years, $45 million. Signed cornerback Alante Taylor, 3 years, $60 million, and re-signed their long snapper. So 2 corners, an edge, a defensive lineman, a wide receiver, and a backup quarterback.
A lot going on there. Raiders do Linderbaum to protect Mendoza, so I get that. They trade Crosby, so they pick up another pick. I get that. They're going to build it offensively and then deal with defensive ends down the road. Who's picking at 3? Is that – why am I blanking on
Arizona.
Giants are at 5. Arizona's at 3. Who's 4? Too much going on.
Where's young Gabriel? Young Gabriel!
Here's what we need. Does young Gabriel have a laptop?
By God, he does.
Get your butt in here.
Sometimes it works.
Yeah, get him in here.
Sometimes
Get in here.
It
I
doesn't
need
work.
young Gabriel in here so when things pop up and
We can
got
just ask him questions.
6 different ways of thinking about things. I need you in here. I need depth charts. I need our lads. You got to get me a free agent tracker. Get the gentleman in here. This is DEFCON 2. Come on in, young Gabriel. Grab a seat. We got DEFCON 2.
All right, we got Raiders at 1. We've got the Titans. Raiders at 1, Jets are 2, Cardinals 3, Titans 4, Giants 5, Browns 6. So the New York Jets are 2. And what have the Jets done so far? A great many things, it turns out.
You got Jets. You said Arizona's 3?
I got the Jets, yeah. So the Jets.
All right, go ahead.
The Jets.
I got Arizona.
Today, man. They franchise tag Breece Hall. They re-signed tight end Jelani Woods. They signed Kingsley Enagbare to a 1-year, $10 million contract, the edge. They signed edge Joseph Osai, 3 years, $36 million. They signed defensive lineman David Onyemata, 1 year, $10.5 million. They acquired defensive tackle Tavondre Sweat in the trade with the Titans that sent Jermaine Johnson. They signed Demario Davis for his 3rd stint at least with the Jets, 2 years, $22 million. And they've acquired Minkah Fitzpatrick, who's now signing a 3 year, $40 million. Minkah Fitzpatrick is old. Demario Davis is old.
So I think
And I love Demario
I think
Davis.
Aaron Glenn's like, you hired me because of what I can do to defense. Give me some guys who can teach my guys.
6 new defensive players already.
Yeah.
6.
I don't know what that is because they got 5 first-round picks.
6 new defensive players.
So I'm not sure what they're trying to do.
Okay.
The Arizona Cardinals look like they're playing the game that I would play if I were them correctly. So it looks to me like they've done 3 things. They signed Tyler Algier, 2-year, $12.5, Blake Gillikin, the punter, and then Chad Ryland, the kicker. That's it. That's the list.
Okay.
That's Arizona's day, and then they bought out Kyler.
And then the Giants. So that makes, if they signed Algier to that money,
They're not a
they've
Love.
got Trey Benson.
They're not Love.
That feels like they're not Jeremiah Love.
No.
The New York Football Giants re-signed Gunnar Olszewski. They've signed Isaiah Likely to a 3-year, $40 million deal, and they signed Tremaine Edmonds 3 years, $36 with $24 guaranteed. That's what they have done thus far.
So that leads us to Tennessee. No, we did them already.
Did them
Very,
already.
very busy. And then 5 is the Giants, which you just did.
Yep.
So we're all caught up.
Yep.
So if you're us, and you're saying, and by us I mean Z and I, and you're saying Cardinal Tate at the top, pick that and sleep well at night. And to your point, as Z did there, the value is incredible to get a player who you believe is a 1 at that salary level when you see what these receivers are getting out there in
Yeah,
the
it's
open
nuts.
market. The one of these that would impact the most now would be the G-men, would it not?
So the
Or
Giants,
maybe the Titans. I mean, now that if the Titans have been so busy, now could they go that way?
They signed a big contract for Wan'Dale Robinson there. They'll get Calvin
Oh, yeah.
Ridley back. But
That's true.
Rondale's a slot. So,
He's a
yes.
slot.
Now, they liked DK had a nice season for them last year.
Mm-hmm.
So they like some of the guys that they've got. Their young receivers. They had another young receiver last year who had a pretty solid season for them as well. Because remember, Ridley got hurt early. And so you're kind of looking at them saying, okay, who's going to be at that receiver room? It was, Elik Ayamanar, the rookie from Stanford. He had 41, 515, and 4. DK had 48, 423, and 4. Gunnar Helm was the young tight end that they had, who's 44, 357, and 2. So my guess is with Ayamanar, DK, they'll get Ridley back, and they've got now Wan'Dale. They might be. I don't think they take a receiver right there.
So that would open up solid to take defensive
Get one of those
stalwart
stud
that
edge.
one of the Buckeyes or a
Yes.
stud edge or
Yeah.
something like that. So all right, that's where we stand. That's how the morning went. It's how the afternoon is going, and we will keep what is essentially a running tally of what is happening in NFL free agency going as we get into the second hour of the program.
Yeah, we need G-Man. Yeah. Any breaking news? Are you on Twitter, G-Man?
He's on it. All
right, so when there's something
so we need
important,
that.
you
We
let us
need,
know.
and then we're gonna need draft order, depth charts, all of that stuff. That's where we're at. We're at DEFCON 1 here, kids. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily. We're presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Please bet responsibly. For the ultimate Browns gear, head to the Browns Pro Shop, a Fanatics experience right next to Huntington Bank Field. Jerseys, hats, hoodies, collectibles, exclusive merch you're not going to find anywhere else. Shop in-store, online at shop.clevelandbrowns.com. The Browns Pro Shop, official merchandise for true Browns fans. Before we get to the weekend headlines, just to update you if you're just joining us, as in terms of things that are happening with us, Devin Bush, linebacker, leaving. He's heading to Chicago, 3 years, $30 million. The deal on that. Zion Johnson is coming in, the guard, formerly first-round pick of the Los Angeles Chargers. He is coming in 3 years, $49.5, $32.4 guaranteed for him, Dr. Z.
Yeah, reliable. Started all but 2 games, played in all but 2 games, over 1,000 snaps. He's been reliable. Best football, obviously, in the Browns' estimation, is ahead of him because it is a big price tag. Been better as a run blocker than he has been as a pass blocker, and obviously, hopefully, they can get him there. His new contract makes him the 14th highest paid guard in the NFL, according to Spot Trek, per Daniel Oyefusi. And then here's what Mary Kay said earlier: landing first-round guard Zion Johnson was the Browns' top priority as they headed in the negotiating period today. They have at least 2 O-line spots filled, and this does not mean that Joel Bitonio isn't coming back. He is still deciding.
All right, so there you go on everything that has happened. We went over it in the whole first hour. There's a lot. If anything breaks, obviously, we'll keep you updated on it. Time now to dip into those weekend headlines. Hello, Gibbe.
Hi, gentlemen.
How are you?
Good. First and foremost, we haven't even talked about it. How was the weekend, Rock Chalk?
Oh, I mean, this stuff's been fast and furious today.
Yeah.
It was, I don't know. I would say that whatever my greatest expectation of the place were, it far exceeded that.
That's awesome.
Every box you'd want check. Everything they do there is very intentional. For just really quickly, the reason I do this at the end of I run the travel basketball program at the end of the boys' travel careers in the 6th grade, and I started this with NBC when he was a 6th grader. We went down to Lexington, went to Rupp, and I took him to a game. I had them all pick these teams just in case Ohio State wasn't good, and ironically enough, for the majority of their life, Ohio State hasn't been a tournament team, as sad as that may seem. So NBC picked Kentucky, Beamsy picked Kansas, and then Bootsy picked Carolina. So at the end of their careers, if they make teams and they have great experiences, then this is kind of their reward. So this was our reward for that. I would say it was like almost like walking onto a movie set, except it's a real live basketball place. The most impressive thing I could tell you about it is they're up, and I showed you guys both the video. They're up 90-64 with 3 minutes left. And they do this thing where one of these coordinated cheers that the students do and the fans get into it, and they try to break a decibel record every time. They get to 124 decibel, and they were up 26 with 3 minutes to go, and every seat was filled. Like that type of buy-in for a program is something that anybody would want.
It's awesome.
Just a cathedral of the sport. Just really very impressive. I was floored by it. Very special. Be hard for anybody to top it.
Perfect. Good.
Yeah, very cool. Had a great experience. I had no idea. You were telling me that there was I felt the wind from the tornadoes on Saturday night in the hotel room. Our hotel was on campus. And then I had no idea what happened at the Kansas City airport after I got out, that there was all sorts of issues at the Kansas City airport yesterday that I was unaware of.
Yeah, very lucky that you were out early.
I guess.
The afternoon was complete chaos.
Yeah. And I told I'll tell you something else. Like whatever, I don't know if they're ever going to improve Hopkins. Just go to Kansas City. Just go down there. That's what you do. That's how you fix an air. I was never at the previous airport. This is only
it was awful.
It was awful. Okay, well it ain't anymore. I would tell you, it's got to be as good as any airport I've ever seen. Like as soon as we get in there, Beamsy's like, "Dad, this might be better than Orlando," which is it's a great airport.
Yeah.
This one was spectacular. Just really good job. Just the way they designed it, all of it. Wide concourses and all of that stuff. So that was very good.
I've never been in that airport. I've been to Kansas City,
you guys always fly in private, so you wouldn't know. And it's not a place. This is the other thing I would say. Like, if you are a Browns, I know it's a little different in professional sports, but I even think about this with Buckeye fans.
Yeah.
The people were so damn nice. They were so kind around us. I mean, they were so friendly. Now, look, they're the big behemoth, so like, there's not much to be comfort. But like, the people sitting around us were the nicest folks. Everybody I met. I'll tell you one other thing. They love bread. My God, do they love bread? You can tell it's wheat country. Every single entree came with your choice of bread. Do you want multi-seed? Do you want jalapeno cheddar? Do you want sourdough? Do you want this? Like 6 breads. This one waiter at the place we're at, I'm like, yeah, I'm good on the bread. The guy looked at me as if I had asked him if I could take his girlfriend to a nice seafood dinner and never call her again. He wanted to fight me, like because I said, yeah, we're good on bread. It was like everything was with bread, your choice. Everything was in parentheses. Here are the 6 bread options you can get if you want them. The campus is spectacular. If you've never been, they basically built it on the rim. And so honestly, walking like down to Fog Allen, or if you were to walk down to the brand new football complex, which is stunning, if you were to do that, just think of the walk back up of the little cliffhanger guy on Price is Right.
Yeah.
That steep. I just couldn't believe how it's like they found the tallest hill in Kansas and put the college on it. But it's stunning. It was
really
beautiful,
cool.
really beautiful place. And Bootsy's like already scouting Chapel Hill. I'm like,
Just misguided.
I know. And
So many ways.
my nephew's at Duke. I'm like, the other thing is if he was a Duke fan, which this is all, they all just pick these arbitrary. It's not like there was any rhyme or reason to it. If you pick Duke, not only is our nephew there playing tennis on the tennis team, but beyond that, 2 years from now, Duke Carolina would be in Durham because it always got to be this time of year once travel's done. It's always got to be the last game or one of the last games. That's the Duke Carolina game. So my pocketbook is happy because that means I'm going to be going to Carolina, NC State or something like that. So that's a win for me. Duke Carolina would have been a lot to deal with.
Yeah.
But, it would have been something to see Duke Carolina. So, I don't know. We'll see.
Real quick, guys. The Jaguars are listening to trade offers on wide receiver Brian Thomas Jr.
I'm in, fully in.
Yeah,
that
would be a
fully in.
We
I was
fleeced
talking
them before.
I think we were talking about it with like Cecilia, and they're like, well, he just doesn't fit what we're trying to do on offense. Now, like the guy had 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns.
What do you mean? How does it not fit?
How does he not fit what you want to do?
How does he not fit what you want to do?
How about make your offense fit him
Now, he had a case of the drops
early in the season.
He had a case of the drops, and he lost. What are they doing?
Listen, this is typically when you get burned by somebody in fantasy as badly as I was and a great many others by Brian Thomas, you would write them off forever. But I would absolutely take him. He can run. He is a legit number 1 receiver, in my opinion. I would totally be on board with that. Totally be on board with that.
Would you be on board at our second first rounder?
No. But I think you could
But
get him.
if you believe he's that, why wouldn't we?
Because I think you could get him for if they're trying to trade him. I think you get him for 39.
This is something I'm very curious about. Like, is it worth playing that game? Like trying to if there's a bidding war for this guy. I mean, look at what the Ravens did with Crosby. Like that's something that's going to be looked at forever. The Raiders came out and said it's going to be 2 1s.
Yep.
And it scared a lot of people away.
Yep.
The 2 1s. And the Ravens said, not us. We'll do it. Now, we'll only know in 2 years, we'll know. Like if Crosby's the linchpin that puts him over the top and gets him into the Super Bowl, then that's the minimum requirement. You give up 2 1s for a defensive end, then he better be the difference in you losing in the second round to Buffalo and getting to the Super. I'm not saying it's to win it, but they need to be a Super Bowl team the next 2 years to validate it, I think.
At least they got to get to one with him.
Yeah, I'm not saying win it, but get there.
You got to get there. I agree with you.
So these teams are being ultra aggressive. Brian Thomas is a stud.
Yes.
Just look at what the Rams do.
I think that you could get Brian. I just think you could get Brian Thomas for 39. Like if we were talking
Offer
Marvin
it.
Harrison, same draft class, right? Same draft class, Harrison and Thomas.
He's been more explosive than Marv.
But you're getting him off. Like, for example, if you were trying to trade for him after 24, then, yeah, he's had a better season than Marvin Harrison's ever had.
Yeah.
But, last year, 48, 707, and 2 after 87, 12, 82, and 10. Yeah, give me Brian Thomas. I'd trade him for I'd take him for 39
yards
right now.
Catch.
Marv's like that.
14.7.
Marv's up there.
Yeah,
in
Marv,
yards
you're
per
right.
catch.
He is, yeah.
Marv might be at 15, in fact.
Yeah.
He just has not, for whatever reason, just has not been. But no, I would, Brian Thomas, absolutely. For 39, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, either one of those guys. I don't know if Marv's on the market, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm also curious how the trade market will be affected by the DJ Moore deal, right? I mean, it took a second to get DJ Moore.
Yeah. I think it's messed it
these
up.
guys are on their rookie deals with a 5th-year option still.
Right. So you'd have 3 years of control there. Yeah, Marv's 14.5 a catch. You have 3 years of control there. Yeah, I like Brian Thomas a lot. I think he went later in the first round than maybe people would have thought. The reason you wouldn't give up 24 for him is he was the 23rd pick in the first round 2 years ago. They're looking to move on from him. Now, history has not been great for wide receivers traded on their first deal. It hasn't. However, I think that, with Todd Monken here, I feel very good about what we're trying to do at that position. I would love it. I would take Brian Thomas in a second. I would be thrilled. Plus, so far when we trade with the Jags, it feels like it works out pretty well.
We also have our second 9-figure edge rusher deal of the day. Of course, we had Jalen Phillips going to the Panthers. This one is Adafe Owe, 4 years, $100 million to the Washington Commanders.
Commanders are not messing
guaranteed.
around. And
They're building a new stadium.
And kept Marcus Mariota, who played very well for them last year. That was somebody that you thought potentially that the Browns could look at if they were bringing in a veteran type of a guy. That's a big contract for him. Boye Mafe, coming off a season which he had 2 sacks, signs a 3-year, $60 million deal with the Bengals.
Some of these numbers that are being bandied about are
It's
just massive.
I asked the guys earlier, what's the ceiling?
Mafe, who was a second-round pick of Seattle out of Minnesota, so Big Ten fans know him. 3 sacks as a rookie, 9 in 2023, 6 sacks in 2024, just 2 last year with only 4 quarterback hits, and he just got a 3-year, $60 million deal. And it makes you wonder, if you're the Bengals and you needed to be, is he half as good as Trey Hendrickson? I'd say no. I don't even think he is half as good as Trey Hendrickson, so I'd have rather paid Trey Hendrickson, and I don't even think Hendrickson's going to get 40. I would have much rather kept Trey Hendrickson in the mix and paid him, and instead you let him, he's just going to walk. Just walk. Guy had 17.5 sacks back-to-back years for you.
Man.
Something to watch as well from Schefter here in the last couple minutes. The Packers are releasing their 2-time Pro Bowl center. Is it Elgin Jenkins? I don't know if the T is there. E-L-G-T-O-N.
It is pronounced Elton. Elton, it's a silent G.
Yeah, there we go. Got me.
Like lasagna.
Like lasagna.
Lasagna.
God, you're good, Gabriel. He's an excellent player. Only 9 games, had dealt with injuries last year. Is he a center? I thought he was a guard.
Well, Schefter's saying he's a center.
The Packers have agreed to a 3-year extension with offensive lineman Sean Ryan, Ian Rappaport, and Tom Pelissero, so they're letting Jenkins go. I was under the impression, and again, could very well be wrong, but I was under the impression that Jenkins, for the majority of his career anyway, was a guard, and quite a good guard, if I'm not mistaken. So last year he played center. He's played in his career 5,000 snaps at guard and 900 at center. Last year he did play center. That was the first season that he's been a center. He's played some center in 2024, 72 snaps. He played some back in 2020, but for the majority of his career, we're talking 5 snaps for every one at either left guard. He's even played a little right tackle in his day. But if the Browns like his center tape, that's somebody that you would probably look at in the middle of your line. He's been a pretty good player in his career, has Jenkins. 2-time Pro Bowler, both at guard, 20 and 22 at guard.
Jeez. Business is booming, boys.
Yeah, it's good to be in the NFL. That Mafe contract is wild. So they let Osai go, right?
You talking
the Bengals? Joseph Osai went and signed. Let me get on my tracker
Jets.
again with the Jets. And for how much, young Gabriel? Do you have that?
I got it. 3 for 36.
So much less.
This is really nice how the NFL is looking for this. They actually put in parentheses where the report is coming from on the signed. Yep. So this is from his agent, is the Joseph Osai deal.
Yep, from his agent. Now, I could be wrong. Osai, most famous, of course, for hitting Patrick Mahomes out of bounds, but Osai's had 5 sacks in each of the last 2 seasons. Last 2 seasons, Joseph Osai has had 10 total sacks, 13 tackles for loss, and 27 quarterback hits. And he got what?
Who did I just? Oh, Jets.
Osai?
Here it is. Joseph. It was 3 for 36.
In that same span, Boye Mafe, who got $20 million, has 8 sacks, so advantage Osai, 12 tackles for loss, advantage Osai, and 16 quarterback hits, advantage Osai.
I don't understand.
I'm very confused by that.
Yeah.
By those. As they would say in the great film Talladega Nights, I'm confused by your tactics.
I just watched that scene.
Great movie.
Just watched it.
Oh, yeah, Ricky Bobby.
Yeah, just watched it.
Isn't that, am I wrong? Is this a little bit nuts?
No, it's nuts. It's almost like you. This is a generalization, but why the hell not? We're having fun on a Monday. It's almost like there is contention that builds up between team and player on team, and they feel like they're slighted by team, and so player leaves, and this is happening throughout. There's a bunch of examples of this. Player leaves, and then you end up paying somebody to replace them who is not the player they are more.
Yep.
And I guess it's just the human nature of it, right? Like you feel like you're cheated or you feel like you're disrespected, and it's better be disrespected by someone you don't know than somebody you do, I guess. That's kind of the read on it. But it is very strange. Some of the numbers that are being reported out here based on what feels like the teams that they're leaving could have paid that.
Yeah, it's interesting. Interesting indeed. This is. I think you're right. Maybe he's like, I'm not signing here. Screw you guys. But it's.
Screw you guys. I'm going home.
It's odd. That just as a juxtaposition. Very good, Cartman. It's a juxtaposition. That is.
I had that in the bag. Did you?
That is.
Screw you guys. I'm going home.
That is a strange juxtaposition. Those two.
Yeah.
Vidarian Lowe.
Yeah, new tackle for the 49ers, so maybe on Trent Williams' watch here. 1 year deal worth up to $12 million. He is a left tackle for the Patriots.
And who did he sign with?
The Niners.
Niners.
So then does Trent become trade bait or?
Well, they are not reaching a deal with him right now. My dad's very unhappy. My dad says, guess what? Good riddance, Pedro. He says, I don't care what PFF says. He says they give him grades on reputation. The eye test tells me something different. Yeah, hold on. Let me give you the direct quote. He was pretty fired up. He didn't even take a second. He didn't even take a second to get excited about Mike Evans. He goes, have a feeling the Niners need a left tackle. Third time Trent has held out. Each of the previous two demand to be the highest paid tackle in the league, but he's not the best anymore. Seattle destroyed him in the NFC title game. His pass protection was the worst of his career. Time to move on. PFF rated him on reputation and run blocking, but not on the eye test! Exclamation point.
The eye test is short for it's not a lie if you believe it.
That's right.
That's
right.
what the eye test is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Man, I'm still having a hard. This boy Mafe, it's stunning to me. How about this? 10 years ago, in the free agent period, 10 years ago, Andrew Luck became the highest paid player in NFL history with a 5-year, $123 million deal. 10 years later,
Yep.
Linderbaum, had he signed a 5-year deal on his same average per year, would have signed for 5 years, $135 million. In 10 years, a center is making more on a per-year basis than Andrew Luck, who at the time became the number one guy. Business
Is good in this sport.
It's quite good.
Yeah. The television revenue that has come into this sport in the last decade, that's what this is about. There's so much money in the sport right now that these things have gone up tenfold. Oh, that's not a good look. What do you got?
Cowboys signed Jalen Thompson, who's a safety kind of nickel corner hybrid, 3 years, $36 million. I thought that maybe if we were going to go to more of a like a big nickel all the time, I thought he would be somebody that maybe the Browns would be interested in, but he is off the board.
Here's your Boye Mafe from Ben Baby. Just 2 sacks in 2025. He was 8th in pass rush win rate among edge rushers, according to Next Gen Stats. So that's
where you find the good stuff.
That's versus your eye test. That's where those things happen. All right, we'll do the weekend headlines tomorrow. We got so much going on today.
Yeah,
we'll
the whole rundown will move to tomorrow.
It's all tomorrow. Part of today's show is going to be tomorrow's show's the way this is going to go. Ben Albright, NFL Insider, KOA Denver, is going to join us coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner, your Cleveland Browns. Please bet responsibly. All right, welcome back in. Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Time to head on the Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea Hotline, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it twisted, Cleveland. He's a great friend of the program. Benjamin Albright joining us, NFL insider and analyst, KOA Denver. He joins on the Twisted Tea Hotline, presented by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it twisted, Cleveland. Buddy, thanks for the time on a very, very busy day. A lot happening today. I guess let's just start here. The headlines for you, surprises as all of this stuff is starting to flow, starting early this morning and continuing now.
Well, I think, we're once again asking ourselves how these teams came to these deals in a mere matter of minutes with the illegal tampering. We're not really asking that, but they're side-eyeing it. I think the big surprise is Jalen Phillips, that deal. Not to the team he went to, but the money number was certainly staggering. And then I think the Ravens obliterating the center market there. That was shocking. I think for a lot of people, Linderbaum getting that kind of money there. So I think those are the two eye-opening deals. I think there's some. Fans may not have realized that Mike Evans was kind of done in Tampa and really wanted to go to a contender, and so that may have surprised some people that he went to San Francisco, that kind of stuff. But I think the main surprises, I think, for people who worked in this industry, I think, were the numbers that the Raiders handed out and that the Panthers handed out.
Yeah, I mean, when you get 150% of the second highest paid player at your position, that is a big reset there for the Raiders in a very tough division. And obviously, look, Tom Brady must think we got to get, as Bo pointed out earlier, we got to get things right for Mendoza. He's the future. That's where we're going to go there. What do you make so far, kind of just of some of the big deals? I'm still. Boye Mafe getting 3 years, $60 million with the Bengals has me scratching my head a little bit. I realized that he had good percentages of win rate, but in terms of just production, it wasn't there. Are you surprised at how big some of these contracts are? And I guess it's just the evolution of the game, right?
Yeah, it's a reflection of, we tend to think in the past. We tend to think of what somebody got paid before instead of kind of having an eye on the future and where the market is going. And if you think of it in terms of cap percentage, as the cap goes up each year due to the broadcasting rights and the gambling revenue, the number starts to be a little bit more realistic when you start to look at the numbers that way. But yeah, I mean, on its surface, Boye Mafe getting that kind of money is seems a little bit ludicrous. But then you look at it as a percentage cap, and you're like, all right, I sort of understand where they're coming from. You got to pay the Cincinnati Bengal tax in order to get some guys up there, because that defense is so devoid of talent, and everybody knows what kind of organization that is. So, I think is with regard to that deal, I think that's what you're looking at there.
Ben, the other thing that I'm curious, we were kind of thinking about this and hypothesizing. I mean, we're seeing some teams really go. I mean, you can't go for it anymore. Now, obviously, they would have liked to have had Linderbaum back too, but you give up the two ones for Max Crosby. The Ravens have never given up ones before. They've never traded them before. You think about what Kansas City has done, and as aggressive as they are, it feels like a real arms race at the top. And I'm curious, and we were all over at the Combine, a couple of weeks ago, and you think about that draft in 2027 that's coming. I do wonder if we could have a little bit of a group of teams that are like, hey, man, let's make sure we're staying in a good position there, and then a group of teams that can take advantage of that at the top and really go for it. Do you think there's anything to that?
I do. I think that people view this draft as especially very more fat in the middle. It really just does not have a lot of blue chip talent in it, specifically at positions where you'd want it to. And so I think you see a lot of teams that are saying, hey, look, we're not going to get much out of this draft. We're willing to burn these picks, trading for people, doing whatever it takes right now, and we'll reset in 2027 when the draft has more. And it's interesting because this draft is kind of a victim of the whole COVID thing from a few years ago. What you got were players that granted extra years of eligibility, and so the last few drafts have actually had extra people in there, thanks to NIL and COVID eligibility, have actually had extra players in them the last few years, and this year was the year we saw the big drop-off when there's none of that left. And so it's sort of fascinating how this one's devoid of talent, and then you sort of get back to it a little bit next year.
The Browns, obviously attacking their offensive line here. The Niners might have to as well if Trent Williams ends up moving on from the 49ers, who got Mike Evans earlier today. But the trade for Titus Howard, you bring in Zion Johnson. What did you make of the Browns' moves? And then what do you see, or what else have you kind of heard percolating about the Browns?
Well, I like both those moves. And with Todd Monken, there is going to be an emphasis on the trenches. So, you obviously knew that coming in. Now, as far as other things that they've been working, I know that they've sniffed around quite a few wide receivers. So they obviously don't feel that room is where it needs to be and feel they need to add there. They haven't obviously landed anybody as of this conversation, but they put a phone call in on Mike Evans, and that, obviously went nowhere. And so they've got irons in the fire on getting some better receiver talent in that receiving room. And it looks like they want to go the free agent route rather than waiting to the draft where you've got to develop somebody. I think they want somebody that's ready to go now.
All right, talk about the wide receivers. Any names in particular that you think the Browns could pursue? And then what do you make of I'd love them to go after Brian Thomas. What do you make of what will the market be for Brian Thomas? What will the Jags be wanting in return for a first-rounder who 2 years ago had 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns, and was looking like one of the biggest sending stars in this league?
Yeah, and I think BTJ is going to have a pretty robust market. I don't know if Cleveland's going to be in on it or not. What I will say is that the numbers you see tossed around right now in terms of what they're looking for, I don't think they're going to get. That Philadelphia was adamant about that whole first-round deal for A.J. Brown, and they're starting to sort of crack on that a little bit. I still think he's going to the Patriots. I just think the Patriots hold him firm and will probably wind up giving a second or, and maybe a little bit more when all's said and done, so every side can say they won. Well, we got more than a second. Well, we didn't give up a first, that kind of stuff. So I think, as far as A.J. Brown goes, that's probably where that's at. And then, BTJ's compensation will kind of tail off of that. So you're looking at, probably something closer to like a third rounder with possibilities that it could be more based on playing time or production. But that sweet spot there for him is probably right around that third round pick.
Breaking news here in the last minute. Former Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa plans to sign a one-year deal with the Atlanta Falcons. You and IZ talked about that last week. It made all the sense in the world for him to that he would fit what Kevin wants to do perfectly. There were rumors about it this morning, and now Schefter, among others, repeating that as well. One of the big topics over there in Indy was the quarterback market. I was curious if and honestly, a lot of people are following, kind of that Denver model that you saw with Russell Wilson, like just, hey, let's just eat it and let's move on as quickly as possible. You saw that with Kyler in Arizona. You saw it with Tua as well. And then we had the Malik Willis deal that happened this morning with the Dolphins as well. What is the plan in Arizona, Ben, or your best guess on the plan in Arizona? And then for Kyler, where's the logical landing spot from your perspective?
Well, Kyler has options. Let's start with that one, and then I'll go back to Arizona. Kyler has some options. Does he want to sit there and be a reclamation project? Does he want to be a starter? And so there's several different options. Minnesota is one of them, depending on whether or not they can move McCarthy or get him to, figure that situation out with him. The Jets, obviously, but do you want to go to the Jets? That's out of the frying pan into the fire in terms of dumpster fires. Mm-hmm. And then there's an interesting situation in Indianapolis where if they pull the tag from Daniel Jones, they bring Kyler Murray in on a 1.5 deal with Arizona paying for it with the offsets. You have a chance to go out and add on the defensive side of the ball again. Maybe you go after a Trey Hendrickson. So there's options for Kyler Murray. As for Arizona, laughably or not laughably, everything that I had heard was that LaFleur was dead set on bringing in Jimmy Garoppolo. And I spit my drink out when I was told that at the time, but they looked at me deadpan like they were serious. And they said that the person that I talked to said that they were looking at bringing Jimmy Garoppolo in as a bridge quarterback and then going to the draft next year. So I don't know if that's true, but that was told to me by somebody that was very reliable.
Do you think that Marvin Harrison will be available out there?
I don't. I think they want to keep most of that together for this season and kind of see what they've got with the new staff. And I think that then that staff will make assessments, and next year will be the year that if they blow anything up, that's when they do it.
Who's somebody that's kind of still out there yet that you're surprised or that you're looking to see where they land? Have any of kind of the top free agents still out there?
Devin Lloyd, the linebacker. Kind of surprised he hasn't come off the board just yet. He's going to get a decent deal. I know Denver is very interested in him, and if they do, then Greenlaw would be available from the Broncos. There are other teams involved there, Cincinnati, Carolina, New Orleans, but Devin Lloyd's the one I'm surprised has not come off the board yet.
We appreciate you, buddy. Great stuff as always. Thanks for hopping on with us.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Take care.
All right, there he goes. Benjamin Albright, NFL Insider, KOA Denver on the Twisted Tea Hotline, presented by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Oh, I thought you had something to say.
Oh, no.
for Throw
You guys know.
presented by the Cleveland Orchestra. Enjoy thrilling music and extraordinary experiences.
All right, lots going on. I think if you're just joining us, there's no way we could catch you up on all of it. So here in the last couple of minutes, something we talked about yesterday. And it's interesting. This kind of puts a ribbon on the day. Tua Tagovailoa, the day kind of started with his release from the Dolphins and the $99 million that the the Finns were going to have to eat in terms of the cap hit there. In the last 5 minutes, he has signed a 1-year deal with the Atlanta Falcons. And we said that last week, that would be the spot that would make a lot of sense for him. And it sounded like they're going to go with a two-headed quarterback competition between him and Michael Penix for that job.
My guess is Tua's going to start because he's going to run Kevin's offense the way he wants it to run. And I think the big question now will be, the referendum will be on that style of an offense, because you've got the talent. You've got Drake London. You've got Bijan Robinson. You've got Kyle Pitts. Can that offense be, what it needs to be?
You want to talk about, as a young quarterback, being put in incredible positions to succeed. Now, I know he didn't have Mike McDaniel right away in Miami.
Right.
But in relatively short, was it year 2 he got Mike McDaniel and Tyreek Hill? Year 2 or 3? Give me that, G-Man. Year 2 or 3, he ends up with Mike McDaniel and Tyreek Hill. They draft Jalen Waddle. And now, if he is indeed the starter in Atlanta, that thing is set up.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Their roster is loaded.
So Tua's rookie year was 20. When did McDaniel go there? McDaniel was there.
Daniel was hired at the Dolphins in February 6, 2022, so it was year 2, it looks like.
So he played 2
year
years,
three.
Year 3 for Tua.
Yep.
So he had to get through the first 2 years, but then he's got Mike and all that talent.
Yeah.
And now he goes to Atlanta, and he's going to have all that talent with Kevin. And Kevin just wants him to flip his head and throw it where he wants it thrown.
In 2 years in his first 2 years with McDaniel, he completed about 68% of his passes, 54 touchdowns, 22 picks, and threw for over 8,000 yards. In 2024, he led the NFL, 73% completions. Last 3 seasons, 69.3, 73, 68. So it's going to be, and he can throw the ball down the field better than Dylan Gabriel did. So, you think Dylan Gabriel managed the offense pretty well, but it's going to be that plus, Tua's better. Tua's a first-round pick. That plus the ability to get the ball down the field. So Kevin's got to be excited about it. I think Bijan Robinson's in for a monster season there, especially now that Algier has left. Because Algier took a lot of touchdowns off of his plate last year. So I don't think that's going to happen. But
Brian Thomas, another big chip. It has not fallen, but he is now on the market per multiple reports. They're entertaining offers in Jacksonville for Brian Thomas. This is a guy that we loved in the advance of this season. If you are a fantasy owner, you likely picked him and went, what just happened? Because he got drafted really high in a lot of these drafts. It didn't happen in terms of on the field, but the piece of clay is pretty elite, and he's got an elite season under his belt already, his first year in Jacksonville. So he enters a potential wide receiver trade market that already includes A.J. Brown. Seems like the Eagles kind of pushed back from the table on that, going to let that settle a little bit. So now Brian Thomas comes into the mix. Mike DeBot, we've had Mike on, right? We've had Mike on. Yeah, he's great. He's Debate. Is that how you say his name? He was the nicest guy ever. I should remember it. I know we've had him on the show. He says the Patriots would be a potential target for him to land. For Brian Thomas.
Yeah, of course they are, because they were in on A.J. Brown. That makes more sense to get. He's a guy that can be there forever and grow with Drake May. I don't. Weapons. I don't think you necessarily find the weapons in free agency. It's rare that happens, that an elite weapon makes it that far. But, and that's why, again, I love what Carnell Tate, where he's at number 6. I think that'd be a great option for the Cleveland Browns. The question will be, do they sign another tackle? Do we sign a tackle as this free agency period goes on? And if we do, that to me kind of leads you towards taking that receiver early. It's probably going to be a receiver or a trade back, would be my guess.
Well, we remember this from previous drafts with AB. Like, he never wants to go in the draft saying, I got to draft this position. Now, we haven't had picks the last couple of years, obviously, because of the Deshaun deal, but I don't think they loved the position they were in when they had to draft a tackle with Jed Wills. And so if they can, they at least would want to go into the draft with the idea of, we can field a team and we're good to go. And then you can I don't know that you can get that done. I don't know if it's possible, because we have a lot of things that need to be filled on the offensive side of the ball. But they would want to be in that shot so they could just take the guy who's number 1 on their board.
Sure. Yeah, we'll see. And you've added, because of today, if you're just joining us, the one outbound, you've added a new need for a starter with Devin Bush going to Chicago, coming off of the best season of his career with the Cleveland Browns. This is, interesting start to free agency. I think there have been a ton of just unique signings or things that have seemed very odd to me. Browns, we knew, whether you like the players or not, these are the players that the Browns have identified, and obviously we know Tom Telesco was, reportedly was a consultant. That's who drafted Zion Johnson in the first round. And he's a good friend of Andrew Berry's, so not surprising that we liked him. Whether you like the guys or not, Titus Howard and Zion Johnson, they wanted to address the offensive line, and these are the guys that they identified that they thought could help them do that.
I would say that there are less than 2% of the people who pay attention to this who could give an educated opinion on either one of those cats. Like, we watch football all the time, and even we're going to the PFF Next Gen. We're trying to, what do you see here, connecting dots.
Sure.
One of the things that's been a big theme of NFL legal tampering, essentially free agency being open, is that, and you're seeing this in many examples, you are paying for potential a lot.
Yep, what you believe they can be.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not here. I mean, that's around the league.
1 minute.
And that happened in Cincinnati. That's happening all over the place. So people are buying into, boy, this circumstance wasn't exactly right. If we get him in the right circumstance in our building, we can make it right.
And we can coach him up.
But what's interesting about it is it does feel like in some instances there's an overpaying for that. There's an overpaying for the potential that's pretty dramatic in some instances.
It's a ton. It just feels like, what's Romeo Dobbs going to get?
It's a great question.
Wan'Dale Robinson got 20.
Yes,
and Alec
116 for Alec Pierce?
30.
It's going to be wild.
Man. Going to be fascinating to see how this all shakes out. The Jake Diebler Show is coming up next. Thanks for listening, everybody. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.